live from New York. It's a show that's in first place, not among shows, but in the AFC.
Yeah.
Actually, in the whole NFL.
You have the best.
We've got 10 wins.
My team.
His team's in
They're in first place.
First place in the division. But
Yeah,
and the Chiefs are.
Brew.
They're
When
hovering.
he says the show,
I just mean.
he means him. He could, if he wanted to
don't
say,
play anybody,
if he meant everybody,
That's true.
he would have said it's the show
Yeah, you're
that
right.
went
You're
undefeated
right.
this weekend.
What went on?
Yes.
Chiefs,
Yes.
Patriots, Ravens, Bears for Danny.
Also,
That's true.
the Titans covered.
Well,
Got 1 point.
you got 1 point.
More than me.
Yeah, bro.
I bet on
That was
Nick's
a rough one.
Bucks.
That was a rough one. We are starting in Kansas City.
Yeah.
The back on track Chiefs. Too much, too late for the Colts. Mahomes not just 235 passing yards in the second half to rally his squad from a 20-9 deficit as the defense shuts down the #1 offense in the league. How did Kansas City pull this win off?
By being the damn champs. And they're not the champs of the league, but they are the champs of this conference.
True.
They have won this conference 3 years in a row. They have won this conference 5 of the last 6 years. They have been to 7 straight conference championship games. And their season was not going to end at Arrowhead before Thanksgiving at the hands of Daniel Jones. And it was on the brink.
Yeah.
Danny, if you people watched our walk-in video, I watched the game at Danny's house, and he made it sound like I was on my hands and knees praying during the game. That's not true. I was, however, dropped to my knees multiple times in agony during the game because I was in dismay that this season could end like that. And it didn't, because even though they have not played like it throughout large stretches of the season, they are a great team. Because every aspect of the team is how they were able to pull themselves out of an 11-point fourth quarter deficit against the #1 offense in football. The defense was phenomenal the whole game. The whole game, the defense was great. Chris Jones got the crowd going after the Kareem Hunt fumble, and Andy talked about that, Patrick talked about that, the other players talked about that. When everyone seemed down, he got him going. Jonathan Taylor did nothing.
Yep.
Tyler Warren, who is supposed to be already as a rookie the best tight end in football, barely heard his name called. In the fourth quarter and in overtime, they were able to do nothing. Obviously, everyone on offense in the fourth quarter and overtime contributed. Kareem Hunt made up for the fumble and was excellent.
Whole game.
The whole game was excellent. The fumble almost spoiled it all. Xavier Worthy, on 3rd and 7 for the season maybe, comes through. Rashee Rice, I mean, here's the 3rd and 7 to Xavier Worthy. Just a game, is potentially a season-changing play. Rashee Rice, after really being quiet since the suspension after game 1, up to and including the first half of this, was phenomenal. A 4th and 3 play, a 47-yarder, multiple plays in overtime. Noah Gray caught a critical pass unconscious. He was knocked unconscious and somehow kept the ball. And obviously Patrick, and that was not some great Patrick game, but it had great Patrick moments, made the plays that needed to be made. And that's, by the way, Patrick's 4th straight win over his kryptonite Big Lou. They're not pretty, but that's his 4th straight win. And to the rest of the league, I would just say, man, like the great Omar said, you come at the king, you best not miss.
I feel like that should be reserved.
You had an opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, listen, maybe, except for Lamar, with respect, ain't the king. And they had the Chiefs on the mat. And all 31 other teams, franchises, fan bases, or I guess all 30 other, were rooting for the Colts. Because no matter what the numbers say or the record says, the 5-5 Chiefs scare everyone so much more than the 8-2 Colts. So they wanted the Chiefs eliminated, and they could have been, but they were not, Brew.
Well, look, it remains to be seen if they're still a great team. We'll see the rest of the way.
Sure.
But what they showed was championship mettle to the point where you cannot count them. In fact, beyond that, if they are still alive, they are the favorites in the AFC. They might be 9-8 and limping into the playoffs, but especially this year, when you look at the way everybody's looking, they will be the favorites, and they showed you why. The way they did it was they posed the question that everybody around the league is wondering, or at least was. I think maybe now people feel like they have an answer. But the question was, can Daniel Jones beat you?
Yeah.
Because they said Jonathan Taylor's not beating us.
Correct.
They shut him. He was 3.5 yards a carry. I think he had 60-some-odd yards on 16 carries. Like, they shut him down and said, let's see if Daniel Jones can beat us. And he couldn't. 85 yards, I think he had in the second half, 83 yards passing in the second half. And to your point, the defense of the Chiefs, every year in the playoffs, it seems, or at least certainly the AFC, their defense is not ranked number one, but it does end up in the playoffs looking like the best defense in the league, or at least the AFC. And last night, or yesterday afternoon, when they had to be the best, they played, they 4 straight 4-and-outs in the fourth quarter in overtime. Like, no first downs. That is incredible. And so that was a big part of it. And to your point, Rashee Rice, like, he is this is what I expected him to play like once he got back.
Yep.
Now, maybe a game or two of rust, but like you said, he's been silent for the most part. But yesterday, 103 yards after the catch. Just to put that in perspective, Christian McCaffrey leads the league in yards after catch, averaging about 55 a game. So he basically doubled that in a game. He was fantastic. And when you've got him, and like you said, Worthy, then Kelsey you always have to worry about. Yesterday it was Noah Gray. Like, it's just hard to stop them. And so, and then you throw in the running game. If they're going to get Kareem Hunt, I know he doesn't break long runs, but he is a tough runner. You know, he's not quite what he was earlier in his career, his first stint with the Chiefs. Yeah. But he is a tough runner. So
tush push
that's all they showed.
Nance said that in the game?
No, they're
like more effective than the tush push.
They're better at 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 than any team in the league.
Quickly, did the Mahomes interception, goal line interception bother you? It's a little bit of a defensive compliment that they actually were in the teens. You don't count like a 1-yard drive.
It's a great play, but come on, guys.
How? Oh, I just stumbled into it. We're back.
The brand lives.
What was
He's
that?
stronger than ever. The legend of Team 6 grows. Another tackle that turned the tide.
You know that was coming?
No. Give me a break.
It's right there.
I
don't know how many tackles. You should have a highlight reel of your quarterback making tackles.
And Mahomes, we can do the Mahomes Earth UKW.
He put it on the line.
Great synergy.
He put it on the line.
He threw the ball shoulder.
No, it was a terrible play.
Throwing shoulder. I'm so glad you asked, KW. And we can show you Mahomes, that not immediately after this, obviously, but Mahomes up to when they were down 20-9 and then moving forward, his numbers. Now, the passer rating's capped because if you don't throw a touchdown, your passer rating actually can't be higher than like 110. But 250 yards, 10 yards per attempt, all these critical plays, and it, of course, was the polar opposite of Daniel Jones before and after going up 20-9. Because here's the deal, and this is why people are skeptical. Early in the game, Daniel Jones, one could say, he was carving up the Chiefs' defense. Man, Bruce said it. Every aspect of the game plan was Jonathan Taylor's not beating us. Yep. We'll see if Daniel Jones can keep this up. So he's getting great looks, or great fronts to throw in, and was somewhat successful early. And then, of course, late. He was playing fine, but then late in the game, they inexplicably put the game in his hands, where on those final 4 drives you're talking about, Brew, 3 runs, 9 passes, 3 of 9 for 17 total yards, which does mean the Daniel Jones magic act added a new element, a disappearing act to it. And in fact, we have something as well, which is Greg Jennings.
Live on the banner.
Live from the banner. Greg Jennings talking to us,
Props for
Greg.
showing
That
up.
was a rough
Props
one.
for showing
Greg,
up.
how was that watch for you, buddy?
It was, you know what? It was reassuring, to be honest.
Oh.
Like, it was very reassuring. Look, man, you to follow up on what you just were saying, Daniel Jones going 3 for 9 late in the game. I felt like, it wasn't just solely on Daniel Jones. I thought when you look at the way that they were playing in the first half, they were executing on first and second down. They failed that. Pittman had a crucial drop. Well, it wasn't really a drop. Cook knocked it out of his hand, but that got them behind the sticks. And then you had the third down touchdown.
Greg,
Look,
what are we doing?
look,
We're not-
it was. I'm not gonna bash him.
Well,
He played poor
I mean,
late
they put the game in
because
his hands, Greg, and it
They
disappeared.
had to. They had to.
Greg,
It wasn't just Daniel Jones. I'm not gonna just blame Daniel Jones.
I hate
he didn't
this
come
is
through.
this is disrespectful.
This is not.
This is
I
hurtful.
give you credit for showing
Here's
up,
the
but
thing.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, but is he like I said, a disappearing act?
Oh gosh. Sorry, Greg. That was just.
Hey, he tried to ride with his guy.
I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Chiefs next up. Cowboys on Thanksgiving. More
very
on that
short
this week.
turnaround.
We're going to head down to Dallas where the Cowboys aren't giving up on this game or their season. They mount a 21-point comeback, ties the largest in team history to ground the birds. Over 350 for Dak in the air.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's better than Sirianni ripping off Kurt Signetti's trademark. This team's never played there.
Brew, time for your Cowboys grade.
Well, look, early on, I was thinking, oh, here we go again.
Yep.
Right? For the first quarter and a half, it was like the Cowboys, every time you want to believe, they end up disappointing you. They show you enough to get you excited and then don't deliver. A tease is what I've called them.
Yeah.
But then they came on and they delivered in outstanding fashion. Look, Dak had another strong game. Javonte Williams obviously played well. The defense is playing well now.
And stopping the run.
Yes, they hold him to 30-something yards rushing, 63 yards rushing, I think.
Right about Saquon's
63
season
yards
average.
rushing. Yeah, I mean, they did a great job defensively. And George Pickens, I've been toying with the idea of, is he really their best receiver? He has been this year. There's no question.
How much of that, though, was CD's injury?
Well, more of it is CD's drops.
Yeah,
He's
that's
dropping
fair.
way too many
That's
balls,
fair.
particularly against the Eagles. And so there's really nothing to do but give them. I give props where they're due.
Oh, and here we go.
Run it back. The Lord has come back. The yellow sea. Another playoffs. A whipping read. The offense clicking. Dak Lamb and Pickens. Defense ball out. Jerry's so proud it was another A game. A game. A game. A game. A game. A game. Boom boom. A game. You know I said. A Cowboys.
We're going to go on tour.
I got a little nervous because you had to clear your throat a little bit. I got a little nervous.
Props to the Cowboys.
Yeah, they're
Great
good.
game. Great.
Listen.
We picked it. I thought they'd win, but I didn't think they win in this fashion.
Correct. You and I both, oddly, picked a 3-point Cowboys victory. They won by 3, but neither one of us thought it would have the ebb and flow of this game. Now, I will say this. Even when they were down 21-0, it felt like they were moving the ball because they were. You know, they had the end zone pick. They had some, I don't want to call it bad luck, bad execution, but the Eagles' defense, which had looked so dominant the previous 2 weeks, did not look dominant even in building the 21-0 lead. It looked very opportunistic.
Yeah.
But the story for me about the Cowboys being alive, however alive they are, the Cowboys yesterday and this Cowboys season is a Dak Prescott story. Dak, we can show you his numbers, but it's more than just the numbers, which are almost across the board top 5 in the NFL. To me, Brew, I am more impressed with Dak this season than I was Joe Burrow last season.
Really?
And again, it's again, it's eye of the beholder, and it's both words.
His numbers aren't
super
as good,
impressive.
yeah.
His numbers are not quite as good. That is correct. But I also feel like that Dak's heavy lift of, unlike Burrow last year, where he has the same head coach, the same offensive coordinator, the same pair of receivers he's always had, where it's a new head coach, new-ish offensive system, getting Pickens involved, dealing without CeeDee Lamb for a month, all of that. To me, I just watch him week in, week out, and I do feel like if we are grading on this season alone, like no reputational bonus, aside from Stafford, I don't think anyone's playing the position better than him right now. Again, if we were to remove all context of who they'd been up to this point in their career, all of that, I just think on a week-to-week basis, he's playing that well. And so I give him a ton of credit. And I thought, he has, and we just kind of dismissed it, particularly at home, owned this division.
Yeah.
And you
19 straight home division wins.
It's 19 straight?
19,
okay.
It's second only to Brady.
22-2.
I think 22-2 overall. I didn't know it was 19 straight. Yeah. And how did they tie the game? With Dak, who doesn't run much.
That was a great.
Great.
Right, absolutely. Being like, now is a moment.
Like Josh
like
Allen out there.
Turned it back.
And so I thought, I agree with your grade for the team, but I just think Dak has been phenomenal this season. And legitimately, to me, has an argument for that second team All-Pro. If that's less of a wins award than MVP. But like first teams right now looks like it's going to be Stafford. Drake May has an argument, obviously. But
Drake will probably be second.
Probably, but I think Dak to me
grab
has
some
argument.
MVP votes.
I think he'll do some of that fifth place in the
They got to start winning.
It's the same thing as Burrow last year. They didn't make the playoffs. He got some
this
fifth
Thanksgiving
fifth spot is kind of could
up
go
in the air.
Yeah, it's like he's a great individual. His team didn't play well, but like Burrow did last year.
There's a chance that we're not working on Thanksgiving, but it's either A or F game against the Chiefs. It feels like. I feel like it's going to be fascinating.
I mean, they might bring their A game and lose to the Chiefs. You could bring your best game and lose to the Chiefs.
You could, and they also listen.
Maybe.
I mean, the Chiefs are better, don't you think?
Yeah, one game better.
Well, not even a full game. I mean,
But I'm just saying, if both teams play their best.
I mean, Vegas clearly agrees with Brew because the Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites in Dallas. Here's what I will say. That is far from an easy game.
Yeah.
What I also think is, I was just a moment on the Chiefs in regards to this game. I was really impressed by the Colts corners yesterday. It's their first game with Ward and Sauce, obviously, which was their idea. I think that whatever issues the Chiefs offense has, we have seen them solved when they go up against bad back ends. So that would be my concern for Dallas in that game. But Quinnen Williams has been great. And listen, quarterbacks that can actually sit back in the pocket and dice you up have given the Chiefs trouble, and Dak certainly can do that.
All right, on the flip side, the Eagles gave up 21 points. For the first time in 25 years, gave up a 21-point lead. They've allowed others.
They've given up 21 a few of them.
I called this the faulty boiler game. How about that?
What's that mean?
Super hot, then ice cold. You go to the shower.
Okay.
After being up 21, 4 punts, a missed field goal, a fumble, and another punt. Is the NFL's record when leading by 14 or more, 89-9. The Eagles, 2-2. What was the number one reason for this loss, bro?
Look, I just gave the Cowboys an A, so I don't want to take anything away from them.
You can.
And this isn't the sexiest answer. People will want you to write off the Eagles. They're done. They can't do this. They can't do that. Here's the truth. They relaxed. After scoring on their first 3 possessions and holding the Cowboys to 0 points, they relaxed. That has been their MO all year, right? They're down 26-7 to the Rams. Let's turn it on and do what we got to do to win. They scored 26 unanswered points. Tampa Bay, they're up 24-3. They relax. Give up 19,
Yeah.
outscored from there 19-7 in the second half. Denver, they're up
They
17-3, and it cost them. They relax and give up 18 fourth quarter points and lose the game. And I feel like this team is, for some reason, in a mode where they didn't win yesterday, but their mentality is kind of subconsciously even. We do what we got to do to win.
Yeah.
Green Bay, they only gave up 7 points, so they scored only 10. Detroit, similar situation. I just think that, look, don't get me wrong, they got issues. The offensive line isn't nearly as good as it used to be. Saquon is doing nothing.
Well,
Jalen didn't have time yesterday, but my point is, I still think they are arguably the best team in the NFC and the league, in fact. But I just think they let foot off the gas. Next thing you know, we're in a game and we can't get it back.
So I understand that, and I think in certain circumstances I would agree with you, particularly in a game where I thought the inferior team was going to win, and not because of some huge indictment of Philly. But the way this game played out feels differently to me than that, KW. Because here's my biggest takeaway from the game, which is also the biggest reason the Eagles lost. A.J. Brown is correct.
Correct. You're correct that A.J. Brown is correct.
There is something wrong with the offense. There is just something wrong with it. And their total inability to put together 4 straight quarters. Only the Titans have more scoreless halves this season than Philadelphia. We have shown you repeatedly their 3-and-outs and the drives that end in punt list, which we could show you again. Again, the only team in the league that's going 3-and-out 30% of the time. And look at the quarterbacks on that other, the rest of it. The drives ending in a punt. Again, you go to where Philadelphia is, and you look at the court. It's this. A Eagles drive is as likely to end in a punt as a Titans drive this year. Now, in fairness, a lot of those Titans drives, they don't end in punts, they end in turnovers.
Hey.
No, but still, that's jarring. And the fact that they were that good on the first 3 drives, and then not only that inept, but that conservative. It was like I thought the end of the half was a real signifier that part of what's wrong with this Eagles offense is the person most in charge doesn't, for some reason, fully trust his quarterback. Because you clearly trust Jake Elliott's leg. You had him kick a 56-yarder later. His rationale on giving up with 18 seconds left from right around the 30 was the Cowboys kicker has a big leg. We want to leave him time. The math doesn't work on that. You know what I like? With 48 seconds left, it's actually more defensible. You know what I mean? Where you'd think you'd want to be more aggressive there. It's like, hey, we're in control, and we could give them. But there was no way the Cowboys kicker was going to get on the field unless you thought we might turn it over. And then one other piece, and then you go, KW. The sack Jalen took with 2 minutes left was an absolute killer that can't happen. Like in a tie game
where they blew through that offensive line.
That sack, he had 4 seconds. I mean, he took the sack after 4 seconds.
Might be a different one.
Yeah, it's a different. And so and obviously Saquon is just not going to be good this year.
I think he had 5 yards before
contact. But I do think, KW, there is something wrong with the Eagles
quickly,
offense.
if I can, to your point, once they got the lead, they started playing not to lose.
Yes.
And that was shown at the end of the half, and I think that's what they do. If they're behind, they got to start playing.
Yeah.
If they're ahead, they said, okay, let's settle down. Let's just not lose. And you can't do that against an offense.
Are you saying that's a player's mentality thing or a play calling thing? Because I'm arguing that it's a play calling.
I think this year it's largely a play calling thing because I think Platula deserves a lot of criticism. Because I think that's a bad.
So here's the headline I asked Dusty to pull. This is starting to make the way around Philadelphia. After latest collapse, Eagles have no choice but to replace Kevin Patullo. That might be extreme. We saw the Bills do it a few years ago. Yeah. I like to try to, win-win. Last year, Dean Pease came in, remember, to help the Ravens and Zach Orr's staff. Doug Peterson said he would be open to coming back. Brian,
no OC worth his salt, it wants somebody to come in like that as a consultant. I mean, I guess you might do it to save your job, but
it is what they did it with Matt Patricia, and the defense changed. But this is pre-Vic Fangio, so they have a history of bringing in a consultant. Remember, it used to be either bad at stopping the run, they got bad at the pass, or vice versa. Something needs to happen.
Sorry.
No, that's it.
Nick Sirianni's an offensive guy.
He can't do it.
He's got to do something. Other than
stack wins.
Yeah, I know, but
he wins.
No, I get it. No, but I'm saying I don't think it's right now. I don't think it would be fair, realistic to say Nick Sirianni, for stacking up all the NFL head coaches, just has too much on his plate. Like, one of the reasons that you bring in, like you said, Patricia. That's not his side of the ball. Harbaugh is a special teams coordinator, so he really is just like oversee the operation. He doesn't have a specific side of the ball. Sirianni is an offensive guy.
But he hasn't done it.
Well,
Steichen did it for 2 years, Brian Johnson, Kellen Moore, and then Patullo. So Jalen always has this revolving door of OCs, and you start to see identityless football. How are we playing this year? How we played last year, 2 years ago?
By the way, if A.J. Brown wants to keep his streak going of causing mayhem, he should post like the happiest Instagram post
I hate to say it
today.
A.J. Brown, no content for us. Bruce's prediction has come true. Baltimore has won 5 in a row. Ravens are now atop the AFC North after dispatching of the hapless Jets 23-10. Lamar, just say But Derrick Henry had 2 touchdowns. Here's the standings. First place, Brew. You called it. Classic one. Are you feeling good about your first place Ravens?
The box!
Okay, here's the box.
You tried to dampen my spirits, Wiles. And I see Nick over there rolling his eyes as if I'm supposed to coach just poo-poo a W. This is 5 straight wins now. I know they didn't look like world beaters, but I'll take it.
Okay.
And here's the thing that really cheered me up, Coach. I said, they didn't look great.
I said,
Lamar hadn't thrown any touchdowns in a few weeks. I think he's only got 1 or 2 since he's been back from injury. But then I said, let me just do a little research. And I found out this is what the Jets do. They muck up the game. They make it ugly. So you beat them, but you don't look great in doing it. Pittsburgh, Nick's favorite NFC team, Tampa Bay, and Denver, Coach, they each beat the Jets by 2 points. Your Patriots, who you think are the best team on God's green earth, they beat the same Jets a week ago by 13 points, just like my Ravens. So I'm supposed to be upset? I trust that Lamar will find his way. I trust that Derrick Henry will find his way because the defense coach is still cooking. So you know what I did after I realized all that? Last night after the game, I came in to the studio by myself.
Late night?
Oh, wow.
Tried on the robe, Coach.
Oh.
Still fits. Still feels good. Still looks fantastic on me. And I thought, is today the day?
Well, they're in first place.
They are in first place.
Over 500.
That's a reason to do it. But no.
Wow.
Not yet. I told you, it's got to feel good.
Beating Joe Burrow on Thanksgiving
That might go
would
the
be
other way.
reason enough.
That could be. Could be. We'll see. But I'll take it, Coach. A W is a W. They're all professional players, even on the Jets.
They are. And I wanted to be more excited than I was after watching that game.
Because they're your pick, too.
Yeah, they are my pick as well. And playing against Cleveland, I understood them struggling offensively. Cleveland's really good defensively. Lamar had the injury designation. Things weren't lining up perfectly for the offense. And I thought, okay, if they're explosive against the Browns, then they're really back. And then I thought, okay, now we've got a week. The offense has been playing together. This is going to look different against the Jets. And it didn't look different. And then we go in the first half and we're down 7-3. So there's that problem. On third down, they were 2 for 11 on third down. The red zone, that's been a problem, was a problem again. 2 for 5 in the red zone. That didn't look very good. And so collectively, you'd like to see more progress, and I'm with you. I expected him to be leading the division, and the hole they dug themselves wasn't insurmountable because of the way the Steelers are playing. It's just you want to see some more progress.
I think I know the problem, Coach. And this is a tough one. Drew, you've called the Ravens a lot of things over the years, but they're not one of the silly teams. Correct? You agree? They're not silly. They
got rid of all their games.
Well,
Right.
So wait.
They are not silly.
But I would like to go to why
They're
those
not break
games
dancers.
existed to begin with. If they're not a silly team, and you're at work, like when Google is like, hey, we have all these cool things, in the office, there's a reason behind it. It's for recruitment. You know what I mean? So to get the best people and then also to get people stick around at the office longer. I think the Ravens are a mature team. I think they're a veteran team. They're not a silly team. And yet they brought all those games in the locker room. It might have been for a reason. And if you go back to the article when they were taken out, you'll read that it was a little controversial when they were taken out, where they write, from a player's perspective, the recreational activities helped break up long days and out of the locker room to breathe and relax, even for a moment, from an atmosphere that demands intense daily focus. The fun stuff is gone.
This is a low blow.
I would then posit even further, Brew, that the person that needs the monotony broken the most or the tension broken the most is the person under the most pressure, Lamar. So my hypothesis is this, Chris Broussard. The toy toss that transformed the tacklers is also the toy toss that tarnished the offense. They need it. The offense needs it. They have not been. And if you look at the numbers, Brew, the offense pre-T7 and post-T7, it's a precipitous drop.
It has played out that way.
And Lamar in particular, pre-T7 and post-T7. So is it possible that unless we bring back Papa Shot, we're not getting that explosive Ravens offense? Is it possible
Here's the
that
only
after
problem.
a tough practice, Lamar needs the video game?
No, this is the only problem with your theory.
What?
Well, beyond the fact that your last word didn't start with T.
Yeah.
It was offense.
that was-
You need a thesaurus for that. But Lamar's the one that tossed the toys.
Yeah, but maybe it was a rash decision.
And
he didn't think it'd be the toy toss that tarnished the thrower.
That could be it. That could be it.
We're back.
Look, I'm just speculating. Because we've talked about he's not running anything like he has. He's not getting away from guys the way he used to. He's not even looking to run, but when he does, he's not able to shake guys.
He didn't hit the corner yesterday when it looked like he could have scored.
I don't know. He's had the hamstring. The knee was sore, and the ankle. I wonder if there's something. I mean, he can obviously play, but it's just hindering, his speed.
Yeah, but luckily he's a better passer than prime Drew Brees and Peyton Manning, so it doesn't matter.
And these days aren't 12-hour days now, fellas. The guys come in 8 and are gone by 5. It's not not like
maybe they'd
just
stick around a little longer if you could play a little skee ball.
Yeah, you'd like them to stick around to
Ravens,
study.
Lamar versus Joe Burrow coming up on Thanksgiving.
They're going to have some offense in that one.
Shedeur won his first start with the Browns, 209 and a touchdown, highlighted by this 53-yard bomb. He leaves with the win and the starting job. Stefanski said Gabriel is cleared, but Shedeur will start. Were you impressed by Shedeur's debut as a
Before
starter?
I answer, I'm going to make a request, Coach. Because we're going to talk about Shedeur again later in the show, and we're going to talk about Shedeur's comments later. So, and I know this is, I'm chumming the water, but I'm. So listen, I was impressed that he was fine. He was totally fine, and there was a lot of pressure on him to just be fine, and I thought he was fine. And I think this is the right decision, and the reason, even though I've never been a big believer in Shedeur. Right, we cut it off before Jerry Jeudy started dead-legging into a turnover. I have never, I was not very high on Shedeur coming out of school. I haven't been as high on him as others. But the reason I said, Coach, that I thought they needed to make this change before we knew Gabriel was hurt, we argued about it a couple weeks ago, is I believe, Coach, that Dylan Gabriel is close to 0% chance to be the long-term Browns starting quarterback. and I think he is at a literal 0% chance to be a long-term plus. Like, oh, we have a really good quarterback.
He's not winning the Super Bowl.
I think he profiles as an awesome backup.
Stopgap.
You know what I mean? Or like a
At best,
fine,
a stopgap,
right? Yeah,
sure.
stopgap backup. And I think Shedeur has a 5 to 10% chance to be a good long-term starting quarterback. I still would need like those 10 to 1 odds to bet on it.
Yep.
But if I'm the Browns and I've been searching for this since you benched Bernie Kosar, and shout out to Bernie, by the
That's
way,
pretty much true.
who's doing a lot better,
Yes.
we heard.
Yes.
Very happy for him. I would roll the dice on the guy with the higher upside, getting a look at him before I have these draft picks. And so that's my takeaway on him starting, and the fact that yesterday I thought he was just fine, which is what he needed to be.
Yeah, and there was no doubt he was going to start. The owner told us he was going to start when he got drafted. Like, this is as clear as it could possibly be. And it's not like Dylan went out and lit it up to make such a compelling argument that you wouldn't want to see both guys. And I think that this is the natural progression of things. But in terms of yesterday, so he did have the 11 completions, which that's a nice number, but the Browns had 10 sacks. Yeah. So he had one more completion than the Browns defense had sacks. And he had that nice rollout, long throw, which looked exactly like he looked in Colorado, which was fantastic. And I think he'll do a lot of that. And there's only one sack. The over-under, I think, in Vegas was probably like 5 or 6. I don't know. I mean, it was Las Vegas, so it might have been down a little bit. So there's that. And he won his first game since 1995 with Eric Zier.
The first starter.
Rookie. And I was there in 1995 with Eric Zier. I was at that game. We were up by 10 with 2 minutes and 51 seconds left. Cincinnati kicked a field goal, got the onside kick, sent it in overtime. We won in overtime. The whole year was kind of terrible.
Shout out to Easy.
It was the year we moved. But Eric Zier, great guy, had some similar, I'd say, skill sets to Shedeur, and didn't have the best pro career. He had a nice career. So I'd say we're going to see some more games and against better defenses, and we'll see how it progresses.
Yeah, to your point, Coach, I mean, this is where I thought it would work. I didn't think Gabriel would get a concussion, but I thought Shedeur would get 6 games or so to start. You give Gabriel 6 or 7 and then Shedeur some games. So it's the right decision. The owner, of course, but the fans,
right,
and I think the locker room, Coach. And again, we're not saying Shedeur was fantastic, but he created some excitement.
That look
Gabriel
on Myles Garrett's face after the long completion does speak to something.
I mean, yeah. So I agree with you, Nick, in that Gabriel is going to be probably at best a backup or a stopgap quarterback. Shedeur has more upside. Whether you think he's as good as Gabriel at this moment or not, he has way more upside, and he showed that yesterday. He had 3 passes that went for 35 yards or more. 2 of them were legitimately deep passes.
And then the swing pass.
And then, the one that went for the touchdown. And I think the Browns had they did have 1 pass for 35 yards or more, or completion, all year. And that's with Flacco playing several games too. So he just brought an element of big play possibilities that they haven't had. The rest of this season should be about seeing if Shedeur Sanders could possibly be our franchise quarterback next year. Like, I think Stefanski should craft like the offense to the degree he can at this point in the season around Shedeur's strengths and see, could he be our guy next year? Or at least enter the season with a legitimate chance to start next season. If he's terrible over the next 3 or 4 games, then maybe you put Gabriel back in. But I would give him that legitimate shot. That's all that's left in the season, plus Myles Garrett's sack record.
And if he's great, does that end Stefanski's career in Cleveland?
Well, the interesting, I do think that, look,
you think him being good would hurt Stefanski?
Yeah, I think it could end his career.
I was going to say, now I think Stefanski is a very good coach, but I agree with Coach, like, if Shedeur lights it up or plays well the rest of the season, it will look like people already feel like Stefanski's been holding him back. Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.